COD fans, how's it going? We haven't been here in quite some time, let's be honest. We haven't really been chatting about COD too much. We've just been letting the season start to build up. We're getting there, and we're here. The Kickoff tournament is beginning, and we are very, very happy about that. We're going to go through the Kickoff Classic. We're going to be talking about what's going to be going on during the Kickoff Classic. We're going to be talking about the matches during the Kickoff Classic and some things to expect in this very first foray into the Cold War season. Of course, we haven't seen anything really until recently about the season. Of course, we've known about the changes that have come on through. We've seen talk about GAs, preset classes, etc., etc. We're probably going to see that all come into fruition. Obviously, tonight, the very first time that we're properly seeing an official broadcast. It should be very, very interesting weekend, of course, over the 23rd and 24th. Let's have a quick look through. So I'm sure you guys have already seen this, but the Call of Duty League has arrived. Get the action started. We're hosting the Call of Duty Kickoff Classic on the 23rd and 24th of January. Kickoff Classic is a 2-day weekend event featuring 6 pre-season matches as voted on by the fans. So you guys have asked for these matches, and I like a couple of them. They're very, very juicy. The event will also feature personalities from around the league talking about the upcoming season and additional must-see moments. While these matches won't count towards teams' regular season standings, the Kickoff Classic will deliver fans. Look, it's just show matches, that's all they are, but you know what? I don't think they're just show matches though, really. These guys will have scrimmed against each other, and I think everybody will want to go out there and put in a very nice performance. You look at some of these matches, and realistically, you want to go in there and judge and basically size up your competition as the year goes on. A couple of these, will be towards the top end of the tournament, especially that last game. We'll get into it very, very shortly. Something else we want to talk about before we do go, of course, into these predictions for the games and my thoughts on the games. The group selection show. I haven't had a chance to really talk about this. Obviously, I mean, you can follow me on Twitter, and I sort of chatted a little bit. I've been quiet and just biding my time. But the group selection show, I absolutely love this, by the way. The fact that they're going to be doing that, everybody's going to be picking their groups, for the first major, etc., is very, very fun. I think it's fun. It's like a nice little aspect, and it gives you a good indication to where the teams think each other are at as well. Obviously, you're going to be putting more difficult people who you are thinking are going to be an issue for maybe yourself, or maybe more of an issue for other teams. You're going to be putting them in there. You're going to be messing around. I really, really like that addition. Obviously, in this announcement as well, they came out with the prizing, which is obviously very, very juicy, the CDL points and whatnot, but more will be revealed tonight. But let's get past that and let's just talk about the games. Let's jump into them. Of course, the very first one, I'm just going to bring it up on my screen as well, I just don't want to forget them, is going to be Dallas Empire taking on New York Subliners. Now, I think, this one is obviously due to the Claystyle link, etc., but, Subliners have suffered a bit of a loss now, of course, with Zuma unfortunately retiring due to an injury. First, quick thoughts on that. Absolutely devastating. He's one of my favourite players to watch. Has always been a really, really stand-up guy. I haven't had too many interactions with Zuma over the years, but whenever I have done, he's very polite, very nice fella. And obviously a really good, big personality around the scene that we are now losing, but I do not think we will lose him for long. I'd be shocked if he's not on the desk. I'd be very shocked if he's not, in some shape or form, a member of the talent team. Adam Apostella tweeted out about it. He said, he was one of the main guys that he would always have wanted to transition towards the desk when he did hang up the controller, of course. But I think, for one, he's got a great personality, can talk on camera. For two, he's a good-looking guy, right? Okay, but three, look, he knows a lot about the scene as well. He's been here for so long, and it would be a real shame if he isn't transitioned over towards the talent team. It's another spot that's going to get taken, and I can't get in on classic. But yeah, obviously very, very sad about that. But looking towards the Subliners and Empire matchup, this has got Empire written all over it for me. I think, when you see Subliners, they've had to change things up. Of course, their substitutes now coming on through as well to be playing in that team whilst they figure things out. Of course, this should be pretty simply a Dallas Empire win. I'd be very, very surprised. Moving into game number 2, Gorillas against Seattle Surge. Now, I think this will actually be a pretty decent game. I'm probably going to lean towards Surge, but I'm just curious to see how we're going to get our first look at Octane and Gunless together. That's really what I'm looking towards. And as I said, I think a lot of these teams will be putting stock into how this game is going to go. So LA Gorillas taking on Seattle Surge, I think should be Surge taking that one. It should be an interesting game nonetheless. But looking at Atlanta FaZe against Florida Mutineers, I think this one probably will go towards FaZe as well. I think we're going to see probably typically what we thought we would. I don't think any of these predictions are from left field by any stretch of the imagination. I ain't here to put out bold ones quite yet. This should be fairly simple across the 2 days, I do believe. Atlanta FaZe, Florida Mutineers, should be FaZe realistically. I like the Mutineer squad, of course, but I just think that FaZe team, especially with the changes that have come through with Alec on there now, it's going to be nutty. They are going to be a top 3 team throughout the year. Let's move on to Sunday. Royal Ravens against Paris. This Paris team feels thrown together. I mean, let's not get it twisted. It really does. However, you know, realistically, this London Royal Ravens team as well is... I mean, look, it's a bit of a weird amalgamation of 2 players. I mean, a lot of things were said about the twins. Of course, Scraps has found himself on the team. Wuskins hasn't, which after last year bewilders me. Besides the point, on paper, these 2 rosters, I don't know how long Paris Legion have had to play it with each other. Of course, going across continents, COVID, etc. has halted progress in terms of scrimming, so it's going to be an interesting one. I think both teams may come in relative... I don't want to say cold. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know what Royal Ravens' practice schedule has been like either, but Paris, I think, will not have had enough time to develop as a squad very quickly. They do have talent on there. I'm looking forward to see what Fire's going to do. I'm interested to see what Scraps does on a completely different team to what we've seen him on for the years gone by, but Royal Ravens I think should go on to win this one just due to Paris's lack of preparation. Would that be the case if they had the same preparation as well? I believe so. I think Royal Ravens would probably take that one anyway. Let's move on to Toronto against Minnesota Rocket. Now I think this is going to be a pretty close game. I'm interested to see how this Rocket team are actually going to come out, to be honest with you, because on paper it should be very, very good, but I'm just curious. It looks like a weird amalgamation of players to me. Obviously it makes sense. Priest as a beast, Attach is a very good player. Priest is going to have to be that guy on that team, and if he can be that guy on that team, they're going to be very, very good. But going in against Ultra, obviously, these are players who've been together for some time. Not really much of a change up from last year, apart from obviously seeing Kleenex up there. I think they're going to be pretty scary at times. I think this one's going to be a really close game, to be honest with you. I'm going the edge towards Ultra, actually. I think, you know, they brought out some surprising results towards the back end of last year. I think they could continue to maybe run off that hype, so to speak. Obviously, completely new game. It's very hard to judge these. This is why it's very loose. I'm not trying to go into the map scores or anything like this at this point. It is very much one of those things where we are going to have to wait and see. But off to Chicago against the LA Thieves to kick things off on the final game of the first weekend. My goodness, that'll be an interesting one, and I think it's just going to be a nice one for the fans, isn't it? It's going to be a nice one nonetheless. I don't really care what happens in that sense. I'm just excited to see these 2 now powerhouse names in Call of Duty go up against each other. So Chicago against Thieves. I'm going to go with Optic. I don't know. I look at the players on Thieves from, you know, last year specifically as well. Didn't have the best time of things, and how is that transition? Have they obviously developed into a completely different game here? It's very, very different to Modern Warfare in a couple of senses, so maybe they're going to be looking a lot better on this side of things, but of course the Chicago changes have coming on through as well, with Dashi now in there instead. I'm going to lean towards Chicago based off what we seen last year, based on the form that we seen last year. Obviously in Modern Warfare, it's a very different game though, it could be way off. But either way, let me know how excited you are for the kickoff, how excited you are to see Cold War in its first competitive form. Are we going to get our first look at these preset classes that everyone's been talking about? How a subliner is going to look without Zuma? There's a lot of questions that are going to be answered. Do you think they're going to be taking it very, very seriously? Just show matches. How much do they want to show? That's maybe another topic you could get into. Do they want to come out here with their full force and sort of say, this is our year, we're going to do it this year, this is the start of our CDL year, or are they going to hold back? That's the question. I think it's going to be fun nonetheless. I'm very excited to get back into watching some Call of Duty from home. We've not got much else to watch at the moment in time, so interested to get into this one, but Call of Duty season is starting this weekend. Excited to get into it. Let me know what you think is going to happen below. We'll see you for the next video.